Hello everybody and welcome back to Rachel Vegetarian Foodies. Today we are going to be making a vegan recipe called Vegan Feta cheese. This feta cheese is really good. Its texture and flavor is almost identical to real feta cheese. You have to try it. So first off, just to clarify, I am using a vegan cheese kit from Mad Millie. The recipe book says half a cup of raw macadamias or almonds, but I used cashews because that's all I had and it worked fine. 1.5 tablespoons of agar, 3/4 of a teaspoon of cheese salt, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of citric acid. So just the same as my previous vegan cheese recipe for halloumi. You literally just put the nuts and all the rest of the ingredients in a cup and blend it all together. For this you will also need to add just 3/4 of a cup or 190 ml of water to that mixture before you blend it. Keeping in mind as well that, as always, whatever nuts you're using, they will need to be soaked. Cover them over completely with water and leave them soaking for 8 hours at least or overnight. The beauty of these vegan cheese recipes, of course, is the simplicity. So just exactly the same as the last vegan cheese recipe, you're simply going to get all of the contents from the blender, tip it out into a pot, and very slowly heat it again on the lowest setting. Generally heat this to 60 degrees Celsius / 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and remember to use your temperature rod to keep on checking on the temperature. Do keep in mind, same as last time, this is just blended nuts with a little bit of liquid like water, so it will burn and stick very easily if you are not continuously stirring it. That's why you heat it on a very low setting. Don't get impatient and put it up higher or anything like that. It heats up very quickly and it also sticks very quickly, so keep on stirring it. Don't let it separate, don't let it burn, and just keep on top of it until it reaches the desired temperature. Exactly the same as last time. As it reaches the desired temperature, it will start to thicken up, and this is normal. This is especially the time where it could burn, so keep stirring. And if you want to ensure that the agar has definitely activated, stir it for a minute or so after reaching the desired temperature. But generally speaking, it should reach it by that point, but if you want to make absolutely sure, stir it for a minute or so more and it should be good to go. Generally, to my knowledge, if it has thickened, that means that the agar has activated, because that's at the point where the mixture is able to set. So long as you see it thicken up, it should be okay. But it is just to be careful. You don't want to have to chuck it away because you took it out just a little bit too early. Again, same as the halloumi cheese, you are now going to pour all of the contents of the pot out onto a tray. It can be a perfect set tray or it can just be a flat tray like what I did, and smooth out the top so that it turns into a small thin slab. Same as last time, you are going to now cover this up and leave it in the fridge for 1 to 2 hours until set. The feta is a lot quicker than the halloumi. The halloumi takes 8 hours plus, I believe. The feta cheese only takes 1 or 2 hours to set. So you could wait 1 hour or an hour and a half, so long as it's set and it's able to be chopped up, you're good to use it. Now for the homemade marinade, you can pretty much do whatever you want. I loved that part about making dairy homemade feta cheese. You could choose the herbs, you could choose the marinade, you could pretty much infuse the cheese with whatever flavor you liked, and I loved feta, and different herb combinations or vinaigrettes could make it like so much more amazing and really step up its level of flavor. For vegan feta, it's exactly the same. The texture and the imitation taste of cheese, of feta cheese specifically, is fairly accurate, so you can marinate it exactly the same way. Now it did say in the recipe book that you could use apple cider or lemon, but apparently the apple cider will actually help to preserve the cheese. I'm not sure that the lemon does. It said only the apple cider. It only made a note about the apple cider. So if you want to keep this in the fridge for a little while, it may pay to use the apple cider. Also, the apple cider worked well in the vinaigrette, I'll be honest. So Mad Millie's specific list of ingredients for their marinade, for their vegan feta cheese, was 2 tablespoons of white miso, in brackets optional, 1/4 cup 62 ml of apple cider vinegar or lemon juice, 1.5 tablespoon of olive oil, 1/4 cup of 62 ml of water, 1 tablespoon of yeast flakes, 1.5 tablespoon of herbs, like dried dill, oregano, dried parsley, dried chives. Of course, again, it's very much up to you. Half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and half a teaspoon of cheese salt. What I did was most of those things, but I didn't use white miso because I'm not a huge fan of white miso and I didn't have any on hand. And instead of using garlic powder, I just used fresh garlic because I feel like crushed fresh garlic would taste so much better and make it so much more flavoursome. And it worked really, really well. It's also interesting to know that even though they listed very particular herbs, for their dairy version of their feta cheese, they literally just say to use whatever, and they actually send you a premix of herbs, which are not the ones listed for the vegan cheese, and I just used that, and it smelled and tasted amazing, so I don't know why they say different for vegan ones. Now for the big reveal. As you can tell, we still have our halloumi cheese there, but that needs to wait for much, much longer. So once your feta cheese has set and has become solid, it will have a texture very similar to cow's milk feta cheese. Not so much goat's milk and the like, because those are very thick and dense and creamy. They're very rich feta cheeses. But for your normal standard cow's milk feta cheese, it's a pretty good replica. It's very solid. I guess it's slightly rubbery-ish, maybe. I don't know if that's a correct way to describe it. But once it's set like this, you're literally just going to cut it into cubes. And I don't think it really matters on the cube size. Cut them into thin cubes, thick cubes. If you want them to look more like bigger and more impressive, it could be better to do them in big, thick cubes. But you probably need to make double the size of the recipe here in order to do something like that. But slice them up into diced cubes of whatever size you want. And the Mad Millie recipe book says to pour the marinade over the feta cubes. I don't think it matters too much. I just dumped mine in there with all the mixed herbs and the marinade. And you want it to marinate for at least a few hours, like 2 or 3, before eating, just to make sure, like again, you're dealing with cashews, not real cheese, so you want to make sure that the marinade soaks in a lot to enhance the flavor. Although, of course, the longer you leave it, the more flavor will be infused in it and the more of that taste will come out when you use it in whatever you decide to use it in. The cheese you end up with should look similar, almost identical to real feta cheese, and